welcome to episode 2 of the WisMissus podcast, Reading, Writing, and Roaming. I'm never going to get this right. Reading, Writing, and Roaming around Wisconsin, the Midwest, and beyond, right? Is that it? That's it.
Yes.
We'll leave that in there as sort of like our funny, haha. I don't even know the name of my own podcast, but it's a mouthful.
We're here to laugh. I write books for readers who want to laugh and escape. So you've got to include a little laughter in this, right? And at some point we need to do a blooper reel. That'll probably be our most popular podcast and YouTube that we ever do.
That is true. So as an aside, my very most popular blog post ever was entitled "My Big Facebook Ad Mistake." It's the one that got the most views. So when you admit to something or you show mistakes or whatever, everybody wants to know what it is. So
right. My most popular one with the most comments was "Write your own obituary." After all, we are writers, so we may as well just get it down on the page. Their last words to the world. That one was the most popular.
I think we should all, if you're a writer, write your own obituary. Do you want somebody else writing your obituary? No, heck no. You want to write that thing, right?
Right. Well, that's on your website. That's on your blog. That was my argument. Like, we're writers. We should be in control of the message. So let's put down what we want.
I don't know. We're not going to be that exciting today. I mean, I like to think that people will listen to this whole thing, but today our main topic is going to be about conferences, book festivals and conferences, the ones we went to, the ones we like the most, the ones that are coming up, the ones that maybe we wish to attend in the future. So we're going to just walk through all of that. So last time you had your fancy, sparkle glasses on, and then I said, "Oh, I'll put my tiara on for episode 2." Yes, you still have those. I love those. So I will talk about this more when we talk about a particular conference, because I have a point. There's a reason I'm wearing this. And it's actually, I had this made and it's very comfortable and it's got those little combs, and how sometimes things like that aren't comfortable. So
I'm all for tiaras and sparkle and whatever it takes to get the words on the page. So more power to you. Wear it all the time.
If this is my muse thing or like my inspiration, and I'm going to write better. I'm not sure that's the case, but at least it's kind of fun. So We are reading, writing, and roaming. Have you been roaming anywhere lately?
Yes, I was at a retreat, a self-imposed retreat in Florida for 2 weeks, and it was gorgeous. And it was the perfect spot. I was with some friends and I had a wonderful upstairs room to myself. So I spent it was, my same schedule, early riser, right in the mornings from 5 a.m. to 10, 11 a.m. And then after that, I could do, other things than that. But it was perfect. Got home. Flights were great. The weather was beautiful, which in February for flights in Wisconsin can be a tough thing. But it was great.
Very much so.
I just got home, and, there's something about being able to go away, write, come home, and you're energized to do more.
I think that's perfect. I haven't done one of those sort of retreats in a while. Have done those to Door County with other writers. And whenever I've gone that, or I've been lucky enough to be right on Door County, one of the, writers in residence or whatever they call that. And it's so I don't know, empowering in a way, but I also feel like I have a responsibility that I've spent the money to go somewhere and I can't goof off. I have to, get my words on the page. Although we have opposite schedules, because I am like the late night girl. And then, you won't find me up at 5 a.m. unless there's something really important I've got to do. So
I'm just programmed that way. I don't know. My mom was that way. It's like we wake up and I have energy when I wake up too. It's not like sometimes I'm groggy, but that usually has something to do with a glass of wine the night before. But
there you go.
But when I wake up, I've got energy. I'm ready to go. I can exercise. I could do things. I'm ready to tackle a struggle with a paragraph or something. And it's just the way I'm made. I don't know. So I love my 5 a.m. Writers Club. I usually hashtag it or put something on Instagram. And that's why I see so many beautiful things in the backyard, because the animals are all out. The deer come through. I've seen eagles. I've seen fox. I've seen owls. They're out there.
If you love that kind of thing, they need to follow you on Instagram, because you put pictures like that up and of what you've seen in your yard. And I think that's fun.
But I don't, like being a night owl, do you get energy literally after dinner time? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'll state. So I don't write well late in the day. I write better earlier in the day. I can do other work later at night. So I might save, even some client work sometime for the evening if I'm like managing, Amazon ads or Facebook. Because if I'm doing data, like I can do spreadsheets and math, and I like that kind of work. I'm more than happy to be doing that. And then I like to read late. So I go to
Okay.
bed with a book always. And then depending upon the book, if I'm committed, it could be 2 a.m. before I turn that light off.
Wow.
You're practically getting up and I'm like, turning my light up.
Oh,
Oh my
wow.
goodness, that's funny. For my roaming, what have we done? So my husband and I just had our 30th wedding anniversary and
Oh my
we went,
gosh.
I know, we were crazy people, got married in Wisconsin in January, freezing cold. And we ended up in St. Croix for a beach vacation, just to like kick back, have some rum punch, get out on the water, do some snorkeling.
Oh,
So that was fun.
congratulations. That's wonderful.
Yeah, 30 years. Yay, yes. Yay. This kind of is a good segue into conferences too. So I have a few things coming up, but conference wise
Mhm.
for later this year that I'm really looking forward to. Places I have been, places I have not yet been, but have been looking forward to going at some point and have now finally booked that conference. But looking back, what was the first conference you ever went to?
The first
Writing conference.
conference, the first writing conference that I ever went to was the Writers Institute in Madison. It's
Yes, me too.
unfortunately it's no longer, but it meant
I'm so
so much to
sad.
me. Lori Shear was there, Christine DeSmet, I'm almost positive, but I
Yes.
kept the
Look
you
at
know,
that.
the folder that you got, polish your pitch, pitch an agent, here's success stories, learn techniques, get tips, get critiques, promote yourself, connect with others. I mean, it was such a fabulous conference. And it really launched me into the professional. I mean, I've been a writer my whole life, and I did go back to school and get a master's, and I taught college writing. But this really broke ground for me in terms of embracing the writer within, if that makes sense. And it meant so much to
Yeah.
me. It was held in Madison in March at the Madison Concourse Hotel. I met no, that's the second time I met Hank, Felipe Ryan, because she was there
Oh,
too.
yes. A
Yeah,
lovely author. Please read her
yes.
books if you haven't
Thriller.
yet.
She has a new one coming out. I'm looking forward to that one. Run One Wrong Word, I think it is.
Yes,
But
it is.
that
Yep.
made a difference in my writing life because it offered so much, and you could connect with other writers, and you could be inspired, and you could learn, and the idea of pitching was wild to me, so it was all worth it in the end.
It was a gem of a conference. I mean, so sad that it is no longer. We were so lucky. And that was the very first conference I ever went to. I had taken a continuing ed course, writing course that had been given to me for like a Christmas present
Mhm.
from Marshall Cook.
Yes, from
Yes.
UW-Madison. Yeah, I
Yes.
took
And so
classes from
I
him.
never met Marshall Cook in person, but we went back and forth. And he was the very first like instructor in my very first writing instructor after college. I mean, right.
Mhm.
I went to school for journalism, but I never, took like creative writing classes.
Right.
And I said something like whiny, I think, in an email back and forth with him because he was mentoring. And I said something like, I don't know that I can write a full length novel. Like I can write short stories. And he was like, basically, suck it up, Buttercup. You need to treat each chapter like a short story. He didn't say that, but
But
it was very good, firm advice to quit my, wanting to start writing. And
right.
if I had the chops to write a short story, I could certainly write all the chapters that a novel needs.
Suck it up, Buttercup isn't bad advice. When I went to the New York pitch to follow, the Writers Institute, I decided, okay, I need to know more. I knew just enough to be dangerous in terms of pitching. And so then I
Mhm.
decided to attend the New York pitch, which it was a 4-day conference taught by Paula Mounier. It teaches she's one of the faculty, and they had fabulous faculty. They brought in editors from, the publishing houses. And after day
Mhm.
2, you were one gal left, you were thinking like, okay, this is I'm in the wrong game here. I'm not going to get this. But after day 4, we all kind of graduated, if you will, and with a decent pitch. And it was trial by fire. You sat in a chair. I wrote a blog post about this for your blog. You sat in a chair in the
That's
middle of the
right.
room, and everybody was around you, and they heard your pitch from the, starting paragraph, which was usually generally awful for everybody. And the common problem was you go into backstory in details that weren't necessary, right? Give the hook, the book, and the cook, which is
That's
what they were
right.
telling us. And it takes a while to get there. And you'd have to sit in that chair and do it by fire. And then you'd run back and you'd rewrite and you'd copy your pitch, and then you'd sit back down again in the afternoon. And it was wild, but worth it, and you suck it
Well,
up
and
out of
that's a
mouth, you know.
it's an interesting approach. I mean, but the thing is, as writers, we've grown a thicker skin. Every time we have to pitch, every time we query, get no's, right? Or even beta readers, or our editors, or the people that we're looking for feedback from. You got to be tough, and you got to be willing to learn and not be rigid in your thinking that I'm right. I know I'm right. I'm the only one who knows my book. And that's not true. It just isn't true that you can get this advice. And that's a very unique kind of conference. Like most of the time when you go to pitch, it's a one and done. You go and you give it your best shot. Now, the Writers Institute used to let you practice pitch with with staff and with volunteers that were helping you perfect it before you went into that room, did your pitch to the agents. And, it's like speed dating almost, right? You only
Yes.
get a few minutes, and you've got your slots and you've paid for those slots. Like I forget, it wasn't terribly pricey to pitch. It really taught you a lot because here you're waiting for the feedback from people in the industry who know what's selling and know what they're willing to either rep as an agent or buy as an editor. I love
And
those kind of conferences that combine the craft with that sort of marketing, and really teaching you, how to present your work.
right. And that's the thing. Presenting your work is one thing. And the detail that you include, and the story and the tropes and the pace, those are all things unique to you as a writer. Okay. But presenting it to an agent is a different form, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
bad. It doesn't mean you're wrong in your writing, because you have to what's the word, comply, or you have to use the form that they're used to. It doesn't mean your work
Yes.
is
Yes.
invalid, but complying with the format that they are used to is a good thing, because
Right.
right? I learned how to do this. I'm willing to be flexible. I understand the high points of my work. And that to me is what you're
Right.
telling an agent when you're pitching. So,
Yes, you're telling them you understand the industry and you understand
right.
the process. The Writers Institute being my first big conference, there was a lady sitting next to me who was writing young adult, and she turned to me, best advice ever, and she said, "Well, if you're writing for the teen market, you need to join Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. The Wisconsin chapter region is very active." And I was like, "Okay, what now?" Because that's a very big
Say it again.
acronym. The what now? And this shows you to look back at this. This was probably '09. I was new to all of this business. Join SCBWI, which is that big mouthful acronym, and they have amazing conferences, and I have pitched at those
They
coming.
have one
Yeah,
coming up.
coming up. Go ahead.
So Marvelous Midwest is the 12th and 14th of April in Davenport, Iowa.
Right,
And they
right.
will
12th through
have,
14th.
and it'll
Yeah.
be from what I was going to attend. Unfortunately, I can't this year. But it sounds like it's pitches and workshops, and again,
Yep.
a conference very valuable to if you're writing in that genre.
We were lamenting the loss of the Writers Institute, but there are plenty of others here in Wisconsin or the Midwest that are very good to go to. Other ones that I know that I've attended that are coming up: Lake Fly Writers Conference coming up in Oshkosh in early May. And just so everybody knows, if in the show notes, we're going to have a link to a list of all these conferences. So if you're trying to frantically write these down, if you're listening, they're
Yes.
there. They're there for you.
I have a
Um,
list that I have a list that I'm even building as we're chatting, to make sure in the show notes that we have that info for you.
and that Lake Fly is a very nice like day and a half conference. Maybe it's 2 days now, and it's very reasonably priced. Really, really, good craft advice and some marketing advice too.
I think they have a contest, and I think they have a book fair too.
They do,
And I
yes, a
think
book
they have an
fair.
open mic night, if I
Oh, they do
recall.
on the Friday night, I think.
Mhm.
I think there's pitches. I think that there's at
Oh,
least agents you can talk to and editors, I think. So
okay.
you'll have to check it out, go to their website. The other one that's coming up that I should mention is the Chicago Writers Conference, which is called Let's Just Write. And that's
Mhm.
coming up fairly quickly, March 22nd and 24th through 24th.
And I believe the Fox Cities Book Festival will be in April. That one was on hiatus in the 23 and now it's coming back in 24. And
Is
I would
it? Yeah, check that out because that one's
yeah.
really nice. But that's another good segue. So there's a lot of conferences out that are for writers, writing craft, how to market your books. And then there's a lot of the there's book festivals that we can go to as authors. We can promote our books, talk about our books, and maybe even be on panel discussions about our books, but they're more for readers, which of course, as authors, we obviously should be readers as well. So they're a lot of fun to attend, but they're not teaching us craft. But they're there, to just celebrate books and
Mhm.
to learn from other authors and be fans, right, of wonderful
Oh,
stories.
and when you say fans, I think of Book Bonanza, which you'll be attending, and I think of Malice Domestique and Left Coast Crime. So those are other
Yes.
events that you can attend as an author, fan of books.
Right. And sometimes they're very much centered around one type of genre. Like some of those are crime fiction, thriller fest, BoucherCon's Mystery. That's in Nashville this year in late August, September. I'll be going to that one.
Oh,
Now,
are you? Okay, great.
yeah, I am. I decided to go to that one. Yay.
Okay,
That conference has been going since the 1970s.
right.
So is it long
So
in existence?
So in this broadcast, we're trying to offer you ideas about, writer conferences where you can learn craft and pitching techniques and also the fan events. So we're giving you
Right.
just a rundown and mentioning the ones that we're familiar with, the ones that we have attended in the past, and also some local ones for you. So again, and then they'll be in the show notes so you can, look for yourselves to see what might fit for what you need.
So if you are an author listening to this and you have books out, definitely look for the places where you can be present at those conferences and be part of the panels, be part of like the vendor area. These are really good events to get the word out because authors are readers. And then this is a combo event with fans. Like Book Bonanza is crazy. It's one of the largest ones out there. It's like 2,000 plus readers and like 250 authors. And it's run by Colleen Hoover and her sisters. It was started as it's a charitable type event. So, the authors buy in and, buy their tables, readers, and I'm going as a fan, just as a reader, buy, their tickets so that they can go in and get their books signed and meet all these authors. And it's vast. I mean, these are huge vendor halls full of signing tables and displays and fun. And for the very, very famous authors, you have to get little wristbands with time entry, like coding to get in line. It's so much fun to see people excited, about reading.
It's like Summerfest, but for books.
It is. It is. We're
Local
talking about a
book.
mix of, book festivals that celebrate books and then the craft events, where you're getting taught things
Mhm.
and expanding your horizons on writing. One we did not mention that we should is Wisconsin Writers Association Fall Conference.
Right, that's coming up in October this year. It hasn't,
Mhm.
I think the dates have been announced in terms of a Wisconsin event that offers workshops, pitching opportunities, and keynote speakers,
Yes.
to touch greatness, if you will, and hear from authors who are, really wonderful. Last year we had Hank Felipe Ryan as our keynote. We had
Mhm.
Christine DeSmet as the high note. We had the poet laureate from Wisconsin. I'm on the event committee of Wisconsin writers. So, I just encourage if that's something that might appeal to you, think about putting that one on your calendar as a local event. There's also in June, if you want to do something earlier, there's a Minnesota Northwoods Writers Conference.
Mhm.
There's in Indiana, July 11 through 13. There's the Midwest Writers Workshop in Muncie, Indiana, which also is online.
I've heard very good things about that one too.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
offer an Agent Fest, which I think is a different date, but then they've got
Mhm.
this conference. So the Midwest Writers Organization offers a lot of things for people interested in conferences, pitching, learning.
We have to recognize that, a lot of the authors and writers listening to this podcast, you're working a full-time job, that you have a day, gig, right? And you're trying to write on the evenings and the weekends and to fit this in as your schedule permits. So these sort of conferences are very nice. You take your Friday off and you get, Friday and Saturday programming. It's workable.
And then a couple more that I know that are local that are mostly festivals, right? Would be
Mhm.
Washington Island Literary Festival in Door County.
Yeah.
That's coming up in September. Central Wisconsin Book Festival in Waukesha Rapids and Stevens Point. That's September. October, the Door County Writer and Book Fair. I believe that's in October. I couldn't find the dates on that one. That's in Fish Creek. Wisconsin Book Festival in Madison. Have you attended that? That's in October. Can
I
you tell
have
me
gone
about
to
that
some
one?
of those. Yeah, I've gone to some of those events, and when I work with clients who have sort of a book that's got a higher minded theme, if you will, or they're more well known, that is a beautiful conference to get into as a speaker if you're able to do that, because it's very, very well regarded nationally. So
And then there's
yeah.
also one in Waukesha that would be the Southeast Wisconsin Festival of Books. That's usually the first weekend in November in
That's
Waukesha.
right. It almost always is. Further afield, we've got Printers Row in Chicago. That's September 7th and 8th. That's for readers and authors. It's mostly, I think, for readers, but obviously the author programs are talking about their books, in that sense for readers. Oh, Chippewa Valley Book Festival.
Oh, right.
That is in the fall, usually October as well. I don't know that the dates are announced for this year.
Oh, I have one for Sheboygan, the Great Lakes Writers Festival. That's usually in November.
Oh, we missed one on craft that I should talk about. The
Yes.
Writers Police Academy in June in Appleton. I guess I did not realize how well regarded this is nationally, that crime writers come to this and are taught by people in the, police profession how things really work, so you can write your crime solving novels properly and not like do things wrong with your with the way evidence is collected and handled, and autopsies and all kinds of gross things that are
Yes.
always in crime novels. I have not attended that yet. Have you gone?
I have not, although I'm eyeing this one this year. It's in
Mhm.
June, and again, you say it's in Appleton, and
Right.
the workshops, the accessibility in terms of learning. I think they have a wonderful keynote speaker. That's definitely one. If you are a mystery or crime writer, you would like to have on your calendar to try to attend at least once. They don't have anything like pitches or anything like that, but it's, probably just learning. And I have talked to other writers who've gone and they really have loved it.
Let's talk about conferences further afield that are focused for writing, craft, or marketing. There is, and I'll talk about this is my point of talking about this TRNO.
Okay.
So 20 books to 50K. That conference has been held for a number of years in Vegas in November. And that now is morphing into a new name. It's called Author Nation. And it'll be the same dates, it's in the same location, it's at the Horseshoe out in Vegas. And that is a conference geared toward independently published authors who are seeking marketing input and help. Obviously, the concept here, 20 books to 50K. The concept is that you can make enough money to live on if you have written 20 books and you market them effectively and they were good books to start with and all of that. It does have craft talks too. That one I've attended, it was very, very good. I may not go this year, but I will go again. Now, the funny thing is they do special theme days. We're all crazy writers, but it's a big conference. There's like 2,000 writers there. And, isn't that fun? And I think that we really can't discount if you've never been to a conference as a writer, please go to one, whichever one makes the most sense for you, because you're going to sit there in that room and you're going to look around and you're going to say, I found my people. I found my
Yeah.
people. We're all just a little, writers are a little crazy sometimes,
Yeah.
whatever, but
Yeah.
like we all understand this like desire to tell story, right? And to do it effectively. And we all write very, very different things and we all have a different approach. But there's something really cool about being at your first conference and like going, oh yeah, this is where I
Yeah.
should be. But they do theme dress up days. Now, I don't know if Author Nation is going to continue this or not, but they have like a cosplay day, costume play day. And
Okay.
because I have things that I wear for like Irish Fest and whatever, like I have my Irish cloak because I write Celtic themed things. I had a lady make up this tiara for me, which has got, stones. It's kind of fun. I had to think it in terms of things that could fit in my suitcase, right? I didn't want to take big costumey things, although people did. It was very insane. You'll have to go through and look at the pictures on Facebook sometime if you're curious. But they do like a Hawaiian shirt day, which is very accessible, right? And stuff. So that's my whole reason
You're
to,
speaking my
show off
language. If Author Nation,
Hawaiian shirt
if
day.
you're listening, please continue the costume days and I will be there.
There's other ones that are like bigger national level that you really get a broad group coming to. You've got Novelist Inc. That's NINC, but for Novelist Inc. That's in St. Petersburg. It's every fall. It's in September in St. Petersburg, Florida. That one you have to be a member of Novelist Inc. to get access to that. You've got Inkers Con in June 7 through 9 in Dallas. Now that is both virtual and in person. So that's a thought if you really just can't, swing traveling. Another one that is completely virtual is coming up very quickly, and that's Women in Publishing, and that's March 6 through 9. There's, all kinds of genre type conferences. Those would be like, romance related ones or like the thriller, crime, different genres.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
right. The
there's
Christian Book Festivals
Christian
conference.
Fiction Writers Association in St. Louis, September 5 through 8 this year.
And there's conferences that are particularly, like we're saying, for independently published authors or authors who think, or writers who think they may want to publish independently. Now, the Alliance for Independent Authors Conference, Ally, which is a great group. Check out their website if you haven't yet. Even if you're traditionally published, they've got really, really good resources for you there. They have a self-pub conference, and that is all virtual, which is wonderful. So there's some really easy, easy access things too, if you're looking for things that you can just do from home. Now, I'm going to give you some tips though. If you decide to do a virtual conference and you think that you're going to like go back and watch everything like in the evenings and you're not going to like take the time off, I have tried to do that. Now, maybe it's just me and I'm not, very disciplined or something, but I think that you should treat it like a conference and take the time off and then absorb it throughout the day, just like, watch each session. A lot of those places that if they're virtual, they do record them. You can go back and watch them. And that's nice too. I just think that I always mean well, and a lot of times those conference replays time out. And then I'm rushing at the end when I could have just maybe rearranged my schedule and tried to take the time off to be like very present.
That's excellent point, excellent advice, because I find myself the same. I get the archive and then I say, oh, yes, I'll do it later today, or I'll listen this evening and with a glass of wine, or in the morning with a cup of coffee. Rarely do I do that, even though I've paid for the event,
Yes.
because other things get in the way. My priorities are changed. So if you make the commitment, you make the payment, you make it the priority, then I think you get more out of it than and then you can participate in the chat too. So a lot of times in the
Right.
archives, well, of course, in the archives, you can't participate in the chat and follow up with a question or something if you have one. So that's another reason to, stay in the moment and attend while it's live.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. If there's a replay, can you even see the chat? I'm not sure you can.
Probably not.
Unless they make it available somehow. I mean, I might be wrong on that, but there's almost always valuable information in that chat. And
Right.
sometimes they'll drop links to things in that chat. Like someone will mention something like, even a website, and they'll just say, oh, here it is. And then you can grab that stuff and go, okay, this is where I end up with like 100 tabs open.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm exaggerating, but like
Yeah.
maybe 50, like where you're going, oh, I need to read this. I need to watch this. I need to learn this. We're pretty lucky, particularly now as we're bouncing back from the pandemic, that, things are back in person. Some of the ones that we're mentioning that are virtual were always virtual. But some of these conferences are also offering, now that we've kind of gotten better at tech, that they now are back in person, but they're keeping some virtual component. So that is very helpful. And that's the way Authors Nation, formerly 20 Books to 50K, does it. Great information out there that you can do from wherever you are.
Well, and to that point, the writing day workshops. That's
Oh,
where I
yes.
learned
Talk
a
about those a
ton.
little bit.
The writing day workshops I learned, I think it was probably during the pandemic, and they were all virtual at that time. And so
Right.
you could, from your home, you could take the classes and then you could sign up for virtual pitch sessions again. And you could get, I think, a practice pitch too. And then you could
Yes.
go in and get your 10 minutes with an agent and, offer up a pitch. And very, very valuable and affordable, because you can do it from your home. You're not incurring the cost of a plane fare or a hotel. And you can still learn a ton. So those are out there. Wonderful long list of events that you could possibly go to now, in person and virtual. So those are
So
ones that are
many.
very, very helpful.
Yep. And then just again, I know we've talked about so many different ones, some in Wisconsin, some further afield in the Midwest, and then all across the nation. But
Right.
just so you know, we're going to have the list available to you so that you can see all the ones we've talked about. And where possible, we'll include a link. If we don't have the dates yet, we'll just make sure to include a link to the page that's going to get updated with dates so that you can see all the options.
Right. But the
Yes.
thing to remember when you go to these, remember it's about absorbing information, meeting other writers and learning. If you get feedback or you pitch and you don't get any
Mhm.
requests, or maybe you do and it's a no, just remember, reward yourself for going and engaging and learning. Don't try not to get down about the rejection or feeling overwhelmed or imposter syndrome or something like that. You're in the game, you're attending, you're learning, you're doing what you love, and you're meeting some great people. That's what I take away from conferences and events.
Yes. And I think another thing too that I had to learn is to not be shy about, I mean, okay, like that's where we cue the laughter because I've never really been shy, but
Yes,
but not
wearing
to
a
be
tiara
shy.
on your podcast. No, you're not
Huh,
shy.
I don't know, whatever. So I am an extrovert. I'm like the weird writer who's an extrovert, whatever. So, but not to be shy about going up to the keynote speaker. The professionals at these conferences, they are writers just like you. They are further along in their career, perhaps, but they love the engagement just as much. So you have a question for that keynote speaker. I mean, don't bug them in the bathroom, but definitely walk up to them and say there's a cocktail hour. I mean, I remember we had a lovely chat with, was it Josie Browning? Browning. Josie and
Yeah,
Hank Philippi Ryan. I'm trying to
yeah,
think Josie. Oh gosh, I'm terrible with names, but like people that were the guest speakers at the Writers Institute, no one was talking with them. We're at the cocktail hour and it's like, oh, this is ridiculous. Hello. Hi, I'm going to introduce myself to Hank Philippi Ryan. Heck yeah.
yes,
So it's just don't be, shy to do that in a professional manner. I mean, obviously you're not saying, "Hey, would you read my manuscript?" Don't do that. Don't do
yeah.
that.
And don't pitch agents in the elevator, that stuff. Kind of
No, don't do that
keep it
either.
to the moment where you're supposed to do that. But
Well, this year will be for me book bonanza just for fun in June, just as a reader fan, and then VoucherCon August into early September, and then the Wisconsin Writers Association conference in October, and perhaps maybe some others in there. I don't know. We'll see. That's enough, probably.
right, right. I have to contain my energy. I will be at the Wisconsin Writers Association event. And so I'm just forming my calendar. I admire you for looking so far ahead and being able to plan. But everyone I've attended, I've enjoyed and learned from. And so I'm just kind of picking and choosing the ones that might work out for me this year.
As you come back and you're going to have like all the materials and the notes, give yourself a day just to like, sort of decompress, because I feel like we put a lot of energy out at these conferences and I'm always tired, even if I'm not presenting and I'm just attending. It's tiring to take in all that information. I mean, most of us are out of like school mode, where we're like taking notes and lectures, and then come back to all your notes and look at the different things and, make sort of an action list of the things that you need to learn more about, or the things that you were, wanting to research or do immediately for your own stories or books. It might be, changing up something in your current manuscript because you had an epiphany based on, a speaker saying something. That's one way for me. Like I kind of think it through, look at my notes and kind of organize what's first, what's next. And it makes it really worthwhile when you can get those action points from a conference, and then all those connections too. So I collect a lot of business cards at conferences.
Yes, me too. And coming back to where we started, the conferences that put out these wonderful folders
Oh
with
gosh,
so much great information, you can keep them and refer to them for a long time. This is from 2017, and I still use it. I
right.
still look at it. I still read through it and enjoy the moment and the memory of being able to attend.
And another thought organizationally for the conferences that don't do the printed materials anymore and they're all online, what I do as much as I am able to is I will organize the links, or I will, if say things are downloadable, like slide decks or PDF handouts and things, the ones that I really need to keep, the ones that I took a lot of notes on, I'll put those in a file, a specific file for that conference on my computer, and I label them well so that they're easy to access, just like that binder is.
Mhm.
So, acting like a digital binder.
Right.
So everybody take a look at our materials, all the lists, so that you can, plan your year out and see where you might want to go.